One.
Hello, welcome to the Board of Health Board of Selectmen meeting of June 15th, 2020. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A and Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Board of Health and Board of Selectmen is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number previously posted and on the screen. Call-in number 1-508-945-4410. Conference ID number is 851-926-723 #. So now I'm going to turn this over to Board of Health Chairman John Beckley.
Thank you, Judy. First thing I'd like to do is call the roll for the Board of Health members in Chatham. In addition to myself, is Dr. Alan Ward on the call?
Present.
Is Dr. Noble Hanson on the call?
Present.
Is Ron Broman on the call? Is Ed Sheehan on the call?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a quorum. We have 4 members of the Board of Health on the call. I'd like to defer now to Shireen Davis.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to call a roll call of my board beside myself. Peter Kokolas.
Present.
Dina Castro.
Present.
Corey Metters.
Present.
And Jeff Dinkins.
Present.
Okay, we're all present. Go ahead.
I think you need, I think Judy just mentioned that it was a meeting of the Board of Health, so I think you need perhaps to mention that this is also a meeting of the Board of Selectmen. I didn't think I heard that.
Okay, I just want to mention that this is a joint meeting of the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen. Okay,
Okay, this is John Beckley from the Board of Health. My understanding is that now it's appropriate for me to make a motion to go into executive session and to say that the purpose of the executive session is to discuss litigation strategy relative to a Board of Health enforcement action involving 11 Chicks Way, and that the chair, myself, declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body with no return to open session. So we need to call a roll on voting to support or approve that motion to go into executive session. So at the Board of Health level, I would vote to approve that motion. Dr. Ward?
John, you need to have a second. You need to have a second to that motion,
Second.
John.
Thank you very much. Who's the second?
Alan.
Alan, thank you, Alan. We're voting now to approve the motion. Dr. Ward?
I approve.
Dr. Hanson?
I approve.
Ed Sheehan?
I approve.
Okay, so the Board of Health members have approved the motion.
Okay, so I'm going to accept a motion to go into executive session, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 3 of the Board of Selectmen. Do I get a motion to discuss litigation strategy relevant to the Board of Health enforcement action, 11 Chicks Way, and the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body with no return to open session?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second. Okay, I will take a roll of that. Jeff?
Yeah, aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. So we are going to end this particular this call and reconvene in a matter of a few minutes.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
this is Diane. I'm taking the notes. Who was Board of Selectmen who made the motion and who seconded? I didn't get that. To go
Dina.
in.
I made the, Dean made the motion.
Yeah, but I
think
need you, I know, I don't know your voices, so I need you to identify yourself, please.
Yeah, Dean Nicastro made the motion.
Peter
Okay.
second.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
2, 1.
Hello, welcome to the Board of Health meeting of June 15th, 2020. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Board of Health is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number posted on the screen and previously posted, 1-508-945-4410. Conference ID number 521-637-248#. Despite our best efforts, in some cases we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Please mute your phone speakers until we ask for questions. And I'll turn the meeting over to Chairman John Beckley.
Thank you, Judy. Welcome, everyone, to our June 15th meeting. Tonight, we have two agenda items, and we have 3 sets of minutes to approve. So let's start with the first agenda item, which is a variance hearing and approval of IA Technology for Carlton Builders, LLC, 279 Kroll Road, Ryder and Wilcox representing. We all received in our packet of information the plans and the other specifications relating to this. And I'd ask Judy to just give an introduction to the application.
So I can, we have, I think Stephanie Sequin is on the phone from Ryder and Wilcox, so she can present it. If you're there, Stephanie?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yep, Stephanie Sequin with Ryder and Wilcox, and I'm representing Carlton Builders, who are the owners of the lot. This is located on Kroll Road. It is a 34,000 square foot panhandle lot. It's was recently, there used to be a, I'm not sure if it was a 4 or 5 bedroom house on the property, but it was recently subdivided, creating the front lot, which has a house under construction now, and you reviewed the application to allow the IA on that front lot. And now they are making plans to develop the back lot. And as I said, it's a 34,000 square foot total lot area. It is not in a zone 2. There are no wetlands within 100 feet of the property. With a, at 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet, a 3-bedroom house would be allowed with a standard Title V system. The owners would like to build a 4-bedroom house and are including a microfast unit in the design and are requesting a variance from the Chatham nitrogen loading regulations to allow 4 bedrooms on less than 40,000 square feet of lot area. It's 34,059 square feet. There are no other variances necessary. We did 4 test holes and found clean sand in all 4 of them. We did not encounter groundwater in any of the test holes. So I think it's a pretty straightforward application. It's simply the variance to allow the 4th bedroom with the inclusion of the IA system.
So you all have my notes, and you had copies of the plan, so it's pretty straightforward. This was the subdivision down next to Dr. Cole's office on Kroll Road.
Yeah, correct.
Judy, can I ask a question? Has that water problem at the doctor's office been solved now? And could this create a problem, more of a problem for him? I know I've been by it several times. I see the rocks are out there, you know, in the corner of the property. Could this cause more water problems from him?
This is the back lot. I don't think that there should be any issues with it, and I think the engineers have taken that into account when they did their design.
And the front one, which is already in there. The front house, yeah. The front house has got rocks all around.
Yep.
Okay. I just hate to see guy get more water into his property, that's all. Okay, go ahead.
Did we? Any other questions? Do we have you, John? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Can I just make a comment on Judy's memo on suggested condition number 6 refers to abiding by the requirements of the Conservation Commission for mitigation and plantings, and this is not subject to the Conservation Commission approval.
Yeah, that's something that just was in my conditions. I can strike that. I agree. There aren't any conservation filings on this. So.
Right, okay. So just so there's not any confusion, I guess.
Right. So, but it would be, we do ask for the 6 inches of compacted topsoil.
Right, yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, John, it's Bob Duncanson.
Yes, Bob.
Stephanie, did you guys make any plans for sewer on this property? Because we're going to be sewering that area of Kroll Road and Lake Street potentially later this summer or in the fall. So I was just wondering, what's your time frame for this house construction?
I don't know when they want to start building, but I will mention to Jesse Carlton that he might want to include that, you know, laying the stub or laying the sewer connection while he's doing this.
It's a very good question.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely should be coordinated, because obviously you may be able to, A, save the expense of having to put the system in. And environmentally, if we don't have to put the system in, that's a much better thing if we can get this property on sewer.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry, when did you say, Bob, that your expected tie-in date would be?
It could be within a year or potentially less. We're gonna be running sewer in that area. That we may be able to connect them into.
So, Bob, would you recommend perhaps that the board not require the IA? And because if they do put an IA in, then they have the right to use it for 10 years. And I think we would rather have them connect to sewer ASAP.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think and make sure that we'd be able to pick this house up. I think I'd have to talk with the engineers. I think we had already assumed that these houses would be going on sewer, but I don't have it right in front of me.
I know,
So-
and I could have sworn when we first started this process with the first lot, or even when we were going through the subdivision process, I thought we had checked on the the approximate time frame for the sewer becoming available, and I thought it was, you know, off in the distant future, and that's why we went ahead with the IA.
Wow. Well, this is John, this is a big ticket item. I think it's really important that the builder research this, because of the timing of the occupancy could correlate with the availability of the sewer. That would be a big issue.
Judy, when's the next Board of Health meeting?
Hold on, July 6th.
So in 2 weeks,
Yes,
or in 1, 2, 3 weeks, I guess.
yep, July 6th. So we could table it and get a little more information.
Yeah, Stephanie,
idea.
does a 3-week delay present a problem for you guys?
I don't think so. Can you hold on just for 1/2 a minute?
Yeah.
Hold on.
This is Noble. John?
Yes,
If we approved the IA, does that in any way affect whether they actually put it in or their sewer hookup later?
if we approve the IA, that preserves for them the right to use that IA system for up to 10 years, is it, Judy?
After they install it.
After they
Yes.
install it. We would
But if-
prefer them to simply tie directly in and avoid the installation of any kind of septic system.
All
I
right,
think it's a
yeah,
win-win for both of them, for us and for the builder.
Yes.
Hi,
Steph-
it's Stephanie again. I think that would be fine if you want to continue it till July 6th. And in the meantime, Bob, would you be able to verify the availability of town sewer? Hello?
Bob, you're muted, Bob.
Sorry. I'm still not used to the whole mute thing. Yes, I'll double check on that tomorrow, and let you know, Stephanie.
Okay, great.
That's good. Okay, so we as a board can defer any action on this application until the next meeting, which is on July 6th.
Good idea.
Judy, do we have to vote on that, or can we just by consensus agree to defer?
No,
Diane,
you should vote to
I would
continue.
you have to vote to continue, correct?
Okay,
thanks.
so can I have a motion
Motion
to
to continue.
this item until the next Board of Health meeting? We have a motion from Ed. We have a second.
Second, Alan.
Okay,
John?
yes,
Yeah, the motion should indicate that you're continuing it to the date certain of July 6th.
okay. Ed, are you okay with that as an amendment to the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion, seconded, to continue this until the July 6th, 2020 Board of Health meeting. All in favor, not all in favor. How do you vote on this, Alan Ward?
In favor.
Noble Hanson,
In favor?
Ron Broman,
In favor.
Ed Sheehan,
Favor.
and I vote in favor. So we have 5 votes in favor of moving this agenda item to the next meeting on July 6th. Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, item 2 on the agenda is an update and a discussion regarding COVID-19 with Dr. Robert Duncanson, Director of Health and Natural Resources. Bob, you have the floor.
Thank you. Sorry to throw the wrench on that one, but when I saw the plan, I was like, yeah, I can't remember how we absolutely left that location. But anyway, so for COVID-19, the numbers are the numbers and they don't get any better. We are now at 7.9 million cases worldwide, just shy of 8 million cases. We have a total of 434,000 deaths worldwide. In the US, we have a little over 2.1 million cases. So the US continues to have that trend of having roughly 25% of the worldwide cases. We have 116,000 deaths in the US. In Massachusetts, the numbers that just came out at 4 o'clock, we had 105,690 cases and 7,647 deaths. In Barnstable, we are now at 1,489 confirmed cases, which is an increase of 2 from yesterday. And we are at 130 deaths, which is an increase of none. So that number has been pretty steady, and our increase in the number of cases on the Cape has been relatively flat, as I'm sure you've seen from the graphs, compared to the rest of the state, and frankly, the rest of the country. In Chatham, we now have 20 confirmed cases, and we still only have 1 confirmed death of a Chatham resident that we are aware of. We had a spike in the confirmed cases last week. We had multiple members in a single household. One of those members was a young person who made a trip to New Jersey with a bunch of other young people and came home. And unfortunately, we now have pretty much everybody in the household being positive for COVID-19. So it just continues that message that just because you're a young person and you may not get a very severe case in terms of, impacts, very easy for that to spread among other household members. And in this case was really the poster child for that spread. So hopefully there was a number of other contacts involved, other people on that trip to New Jersey, but hopefully it's not going to spread too far and become a major issue, not only for Chatham, but for the Cape as a whole. As everybody knows, we are now in phase 2 of the governor's 4-phase reopening plan. Restaurants are reopening with outdoor seating. Retail shops are opening, and I'm sure you've seen, we had a beautiful weekend on the Cape, beautiful weekend in Chatham, and a lot of the restaurants with their outdoor seating and all was full and whatnot, and it seemed to go very well. We didn't have any reports of any issues. We actually did get an email a little while ago from a resident on Cape Cod who visited Chatham over the weekend. And frankly, their response was, wow, great job. Practically everybody on Main Street's wearing a mask. The town is doing the right thing. So, as I've said before, it's been kind of evenly split in terms of the comments we get from people that, the downtown mask requirement is either too much or not enough. So I think we're probably right in that sweet spot where we should be. In most of the trips that I've made downtown, and I try to do it at least once a day to, drive Main Street from the Rotary all the way out to Shore Road, I would say on most instances, the vast majority of folks, if not everybody, is wearing a mask. So people are really abiding by that, as well as, the stores all have their signage up and their doors open and, have masks available for people. So I think everybody is really doing their due diligence to make this work as well as can. Obviously, there's always some people without them, whether they have medical conditions that preclude them from wearing a mask or they just, don't want to play along with everybody else. We don't know, but I think the vast majority of people, are abiding. We now have signs up at Lighthouse Overlook because of the board's change. We've put signage up at the Fish Pier, but we have not reopened that area yet to the public. We're still waiting to get one piece finished up regarding the elevator so we can get the state down to get that inspected and reopen that area, although we may keep it closed until we see what's going to happen in phase 3 if the governor is going to increase the size of people that are allowed or the number of people that are allowed to gather together, because as you can imagine, trying to, maintain the Fish Pier observation deck to only 10 would be extremely difficult. And as well, the transfer station is now a mask mandatory location. They've got signage up, so I haven't heard any pushback from that. They were kind of doing that unofficially before the board took their action. But I think having official action by the Board of Health has just made that much easier. There was not a whole lot of new information that came out from the state over the weekend or towards the end of last week, just because we're kind of in the middle of phase 2, and so they're not changing too many things right now. We're all kind of waiting to see what happens for phase 3, which, as you know, is targeted for May 29th, but there's no guarantee that May 29th will be the magic day. It will be predicated upon how things continue to go here. We've all, I'm sure, seen the news reports of increased cases in other parts of the country that may be tied to either reopening, society to some extent, or the large number of demonstrations and protests that have brought large numbers of people in close proximity. Unfortunately, because those two things were kind of happening simultaneously, it's difficult to attribute it to one or the other. And it may be some combination of both. We're probably still a week or so away from seeing an impact in Massachusetts, a week to 2 weeks. Whether or not we're going to see a spike in cases in Massachusetts, so far we haven't seen it, but it's still a little early considering, we're only in the second week of phase 2, and some of the demonstrations that took place in Massachusetts were a little later occurring than some of the ones in other parts of the country. So I think we probably are still 2 weeks away to see if we're going to get a similar bump that, we're seeing in other places. And whether or not that'll factor into, a delay in phase 3 or how it may impact phase 3 is too early to know. The only other thing that really is newsworthy for folks is the state did announce today that they have set up I shouldn't say two, they've set up 52 additional drop-in testing sites for Wednesday and Thursday of this week, the 17th and 18th. It's being specifically targeted, or those sites are being specifically targeted towards people that did participate in, a lot of the demonstrations that have taken place recently. The state's really trying to get a handle on whether or not those demonstrations is going to have an impact on the caseload. So they've set up 52 testing sites for free of charge Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And the state does have a new website set up where you can go get information on where those testing sites are, what their hours are, whether or not they have any specific requirements such as, having to get an appointment ahead of time, or it's just kind of a drop-in kind of facility. So I would urge anyone that participated in any of those kind of demonstrations over the last, couple of weeks to take advantage of that and get the testing done. It would be, obviously, it would be in strictest confidence. So it's not a question that, if you participated, everybody's going to know. The test results would be, obviously confidential just to you. But that's a great program for people that might have been concerned about that, as well as providing additional data to the state to help inform a decision regarding phase 3. So I think with that, that's probably all I've got for an update for you today. Happy to answer any questions.
Do you know if any of those sites are close to Cape Cod or on Cape Cod?
Yes, there are a number of sites on Cape Cod. And I was just looking that up so I could get that information. I know there is, if you give me a second,
They're both Outer Cape Health Services are, the one in Harwich and the one in Wellfleet are both listed.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure about up the Lower Cape or Upper Cape. I just put up on the screen the notice from the state. I don't know if you can see it.
I hope this is well publicized.
It's-
It is, as soon as the state announced it, we got it up on our website. We also got it up on Channel 18, and I know the state's trying to get that information up as well.
the website is mass.gov/get-tested. And it has all the information. So that's mass.gov/get-tested.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and not only there's also a number of CVS pharmacies that are participating. Unfortunately, the nearest one to Chatham is in East Falmouth. But as Judy said, the Outer Cape Health Service is right over in Harwich, is probably the closest one to here. So I think there's 3 testing locations on the Cape in total.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bob. It was a good report, and I personally am very heartened to hear that so far there seems to be very high compliance with the mask requirements in downtown Chatham. I feel good about that. Any questions for Board of Health members to Bob?
Yeah, I have one question. Is it, when you go into the transfer station, is it up to the guy at the thing to make sure that people have masks on, or is he just there to check the stickers?
I know they did have one of the electronic message boards right there as you drove in.
Yeah.
That gentleman was, when I talked with the DPW director last week, he was advising folks, and I believe he had some masks available if people didn't have them.
Okay.
And then they put up a bunch of signage. Judy provided some signage for them to put up around the transfer station. Because that's the area of primary concern, just because you're so close to everybody.
Yeah, well, I realize it's probably not part of the guy's job description to question people or anything like that, but I don't know if there was some monitoring of it. If he saw someone without a mask, just say, gee, we got some here for you, like you said, they do have them. That's all.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
This is Noble. Bob, the beach opening regulations, I think, have been approved by the Board of Selectmen, and they were developed by the Park and Recs, whatever.
Yep.
But can you tell us, especially you understand exactly what the mask wearing rules are on the beach? And I'm particularly, and I brought it up before, the sunbathing exemption and the wearing of masks if you are in a group of 10 on the beach.
Yeah.
Because I think there's been some confusion as it's evolved, and there may be a difference between what the governor's rules are, or guidelines, or order, or whatever, and what the town rule has actually become.
Well, the town is following the guidance coming out of the state.
Okay.
We have the governor's mask requirement, and then there's guidance that has been put out by the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, specifically regarding beaches. And basically what it says is, if you're on the beach and you're in your family unit, so, wife and kids and husband and, grandparents or whatever, and you guys are all within your one little particular area, and you're just kind of sitting there sunbathing and the kids are playing in the sand, you do not need to wear a mask. If you're in the water, if you're swimming, you do not need to wear a mask. If you're walking along the beach, taking a stroll, you do not need to wear a mask, provided you can socially distance. So that guidance is pretty much the same as it's been for other areas. If you're walking along and the beach is deserted because you're there at, 6 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, you don't need to be wearing a mask. If you're there and, your towel is away from the water and now you want to walk down, and you need to pass other people within that 6-foot distance, you should be wearing a mask. Or when you're coming from the parking lot, or you're walking up to the bathhouse to use the restrooms, you should be wearing a mask, provided you can't social distance. It's a little difficult sometimes because, how do I know if I'm not going to be able to social distance? So the best guidance is carry a mask with you. If you get into a situation where you can't socially distance, put it on.
Okay. then I guess my question is, if the group of 10 on the beach, yeah, if it's a family unit, you don't need to wear a mask. And I understand it's be hard to monitor, but if it's a group of 10 on the beach and they're not family members, just a bunch of kids at the beach or whatever, what's the rule there for wearing masks? Because I think from the Chronicle article, it implies that if you're sunbathing in a group of 10, you don't need to wear a mask, period. So, I mean, I'm not so much arguing about the policy, but just the preciseness of what exactly is the town saying.
Yeah, again, it's not the town specifically, it's the guidance that we get from the state.
Right.
You know, if it's not a family unit, if it's a group of mixed individuals, friends and whatnot, and they can't social distance, then they should be wearing masks.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
if they're all kind of sitting around and they're all 6 feet apart or greater, you know, because it's the end of the day and there's plenty of room on the beach and, you know, they don't have to worry about being the 12 feet from the next held group, then they would not need to wear a mask.
Right. I think that conforms to the governor's guidance, but it's my impression, and I may be wrong here, that it's being implied that if you're in a group of 10 on the beach and you're sunbathing, you don't need to wear a mask at all, which doesn't, you know, that doesn't go along with the governor's guidance. Now, I think the problem is it's hard to monitor, and I think that the sunbathing thing that came out of the task force kind of pushed for a more liberal mask wearing policy. So I just think there's confusion on that if you're in a group of 10 on the beach and you're not a family member, I think there's an impression that you don't have to wear a mask. And I think the governor's guidance or order is that you do need to wear a mask if you can't social distance 6 feet.
Right.
Which is pretty impractical. So if you have a group of 10 and everybody doesn't want to wear a mask, they have to spread 6 feet apart. I mean, that's a lot.
Yep.
But we're going to be sending monitors to the beach, and somebody's going to have to tell them, well, maybe they won't be instructed. Well, somebody's going to have to tell them precisely what the rules are supposed to be.
Yes, the Park and Rec, as I understand it, is going to be hiring some additional staff that could provide that kind of guidance to people on the beach.
Yeah, well, let me just say one thing, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I was looking through the minutes, and this is from May 27th meeting, Director Tobin, Dan Tobin, and this is just the minutes, so I don't know what he said, but the minutes say, he said, meaning Tobin, masks are required when entering or exiting beaches where access areas are tight, but not when sitting on the beach. See, I think, you know, that implies that if you're in a group of 10, you don't have to wear a mask. And part of why I ask is, I feel a little funny if that's the case, because we've made the rules about the transfer station and the lighthouse and the downtown. And if the situation in the beach was that if you're in a group of 10, you don't have to wear a mask, well, that's sort of totally different and might be unsafe. We don't really know.
Yes, and I will double check with with Dan Tobin, Director of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. 'Cause my impression, and I may be wrong, was that the Park and Rec people kind of picked that up somehow, this sunbathing thing. And I think it's kind of become town policy. And I mean, you can argue whether we need to or not do that, but I mean, I think everybody needs to know exactly what the policy is. And I would say it has to conform to what the governor says.
Yes, I would agree. I'm just looking at what the selectmen endorsed at
Yeah,
their
I tried to listen to it, but I couldn't figure it out, frankly.
Yeah, I don't see anything specifically in their guidance regarding masks.
Yep. The other thing I would say, and I'm just then I'm not going to talk anymore. I think, is there a group of town managers meeting or something? I mean, I'd be interested. What is Harwich doing on their beaches? What's Dennis doing on their beaches? I had the feeling Dennis was being fairly strict, and we would probably want to kind of. We don't want to be more liberal. I mean, that would be maybe not good for us.
Yeah, there are several groups working on the Cape. There is the Reopening Cape Cod Task Force. There is a group with the town managers and chairman of Board of Selectmen that have been meeting for the very reason to try to make sure that what happens across the Cape is kind of uniform, because they don't want to have a patchwork of, one town doing it one way and one town doing it another way.
Yeah, because certainly in the age of the smartphone, if the word is out that it's hard to that word will spread fast.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking at what the guidance that Park and Rec put out, and it doesn't address the wearing of masks anywhere that I see, just looking at it, while we've been talking.
Yep, and I would just say that, to me, it may be pretty hard to enforce on the beach, but we should comply with whatever the governor's order guidelines are. Even if it's
Right.
hard, at least we have to be in compliance with him.
Yeah, the governor's guidelines or the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs guidelines for beaches is consistent with the governor's order. And it's also, I think, consistent with the signage that Reopening Cape Cod put out, which says wear a mask. Masks are required when 6 feet of distance cannot be maintained.
Well, I would just say, I think there's confusion about that group of 10 thing, and I think it's because of the sunbathing. You don't need to wear a mask if you're in the water or sunbathing. I think that's been picked up and sort of passed along, and it's sort of become a new rule. I think I could be wrong. But I think it's important for us to be consistent and to be precise what we're telling monitors if they're going out on the beach.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll get with Dan and we'll make sure that there's consistency.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right.
I have one Ron Roman. I have one question of Bob.
Shoot.
Yeah. I've been down Lighthouse Beach. We sit down there and look out. It's changed quite a bit in the last 6 months. Is it more threatening now than it was back when we had that big runaround about closing the beach? It looks a lot different than it did then. I know that. But is it any more dangerous?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's more dangerous or more threatening. It has definitely changed.
Yeah.
And I know Dan Tobin was aware of that, and they were looking at whether or not they needed to alter the swim area, if you will, which you and others have had generally a yearly field trip out there.
Yeah.
Beaches don't officially open till the 26th. Dan is currently on vacation. He's supposed to be back on Wednesday. I will get in touch with him when he gets back, and we can talk about whether or not it's necessary that the Board of Health kind of reconvene and have that discussion about changing the no swim area or not.
Okay.
I think overall the program that's in place with the beach patrol and the ATV and all is in pretty good shape. I don't think anything may need to change substantially,
No.
but we can have that review and make sure that if there is any substantial change that needs to take place, we get that to the board.
Yeah, I don't know how many people on the board are aware of that letter that you gave me some time ago that resulted in the closing of the beach down there. And I just don't want the Board of Health to see if anything happens that we're not knowledgeable of and part of with decisions they made. That's all.
Good question, Ron. A very good question.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments for Bob? Otherwise, I'd like to move the agenda and I'd like to get to a review of the minutes. We've got 3 sets of minutes. I'd like to take them one at a time and see if we can get a motion to approve. The first set of minutes is from May 18th, which was a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health. Can I get a motion on the table to approve the May 18th minutes?
Move we approve them, Alan.
Okay, I've got an Allen motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second. I'll second
Ed
it, Ron
Sheehan.
Broman.
Okay, Ron has seconded the motion. Any discussion about the draft minutes for May 18th? Any corrections or edits or comments from anybody? Hearing none, I'd like to move the motion. How do you vote on the motion, Dr. Ward?
Move we approve.
Dr. Hanson?
Move, we approve.
Ron Broman?
Approve.
Ed Sheehan?
Approve.
And I vote to approve. So we have 5 votes to approve the minutes from May 18th. Let's move now to the minutes for May 27th. Can I get a motion to approve them?
Move we approve, Alan.
Alan, can I get a second?
Second, Ed Sheehan.
Ed Sheehan on a second, okay. Discussion on the May 27th minutes. Any corrections or edits or revisions? Hearing none, let's call the question. How do you vote on the motion, Dr. Ward?
Move we approve.
How do you vote, Dr. Hanson?
Approve.
Ron Broman?
Approve.
Ed?
Approve.
And I vote to approve. So we have 5 votes to approve the May 27th minutes. The last set of minutes we need to review is for June 1st. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move we
those?
approve, Alan.
Alan, to approve. Do we have a second?
Noble, second.
Noble on a second. Discussion. Any edits, comments, corrections, any changes? Hearing none, I'd like to call the question. How do you vote on the motion, Dr. Ward?
Approve.
How do you vote, Dr. Hanson?
Approve.
How do you vote, Ron Broman?
Approve.
How do you vote, Ed Sheehan?
Approve.
And I vote to approve. So those minutes have been approved as well. Those are the only items we have on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments anybody would care to make before we adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn from Alan. Do we have a second?
Second, Ed Sheehan.
We have a second from Ed to adjourn. Dr. Ward, how do you vote on the motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Dr. Hanson?
A motion to adjourn or approve adjourn.
Ron Broman, how do you vote on the adjournment?
Adjourn.
Ed Sheehan?
Adjourn.
And I vote to adjourn. So I think our meeting is now adjourned. I thank everyone for your patience today in attending both meetings and contributing your time and your thoughts and everything. So thank you everyone for participating, and we can continue off now. Bye.